Everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Building a Jazz Line, where we are going to build a line from scratch. And I'm hopefully going to fill you in on some of the stuff that I do to make a really good line from the blank page, which is sometimes the toughest thing to do. You know, we all steal lines from our jazz heroes, but it's nice to be able to build your own and practice them, and then you can actually say that you have your own lines, which is a really cool thing to do. So obviously we're starting from this completely blank page here, right? So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to fill in some chords. So we're just going to be working off of a regular old 2-5-1 in this video. And we're going to do it in the key of C because it is easy. And easy is always good, especially when you're learning a new concept. So the first thing we want to do is we want to turn all these whole note rests into half note rests. And the reason I'm doing that is because when we think about a really good line, a well-structured line, we want to make sure that we're putting chord tones, right, 1, 3, 5, or 7, on the strong beats. So rhythmically in swing music, right, the strong beats are 2 and 4, but harmonically they're 1 and 3. Because like in 4/4, which we're in right now, the most important harmonic beats in the measure are 1 and 3, meaning that the chord always changes on either 1 or 3, right? I mean, there are some situations where they don't, but the vast majority of the time, the chords are changing on beats 1 and 3, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to develop a little bit of a blueprint. We're going to get our line laid out, and then we're going to fill the rest of it in, which is always a good way to go about things so that you're not just kind of aimlessly trying to come up with something good. We're actually going to use a system that we know will produce good results. So on beat 1, I need to figure out a chord tone, right? So I think I'm going to use F, okay? That's going to be my first note in the line is going to be F. Now on beat 3, I need to put another chord tone, so I'm going to put C. Here's where we have to make some decisions, right? Do we want the line to cover a lot of ground, or do we want it to kind of stay in one register and kind of weave its way amongst, you know, a short space? Do we want it to span really far, which will use large intervals, big jumps, or do we want to kind of base it off of a scale? So in this line, I'm going to keep everything kind of close together, all right? So following that same model, I'm going to put a B on beat 1 of the G7 chord, which is the third, obviously, right? Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put an F, so a little bit of space in between there. And then I'm going to put an E as my first note over the C major 7 chord. And then on beat 3 over the C major 7 chord, I'm going to put C, all right? So now I've got my blueprint worked out here. This is the blueprint of my line. Now the nice part about doing this is that unless I colossally screw it up, as long as I have this blueprint, I'm going to pretty much end up with a nice sounding line simply because I have a chord tone on every harmonic strong beat, right? So there is my blueprint. Let's go about filling it in now. Okay, so I need to make it from F to C. And in this line, I'm going to go bare bones again. I'm just going to use eighth notes, nothing else but eighth notes. Normally, I'd probably stick a couple of quarter notes in there, maybe a triplet, whatever. I'm going to keep it as basic as possible. And that's what you want to do when you first start doing this kind of stuff. All right, so I need to get from F to C. So let's try this. All right, I'm just going down the scale. That's the simplest thing to do, right? But look here, I need to get to C, but I've run out of diatonic notes to get to C. So here's where I'm going to use a little bit of chromaticism to get me to the C. I'll put my C sharp in there. Okay? Now I need to get from C to B. Not a lot of space in there, right? But let's try this. I'm going to continue going down the scale. But then in order to get to my B, I'm going to jump back up to C so that I have this nice break in the scale line going down. Here I just have a scale line going down, going down, going down. Then all of a sudden it jumps up and then it goes down again. So it provides us a little bit of relief from just going down, going down, going down. And it makes the ear go, oh, what was that? All right. So now I need to get up to F. So let's try just going up the scale. Ah, that works out very nicely because diatonically I can go from B to F in that span of notes. All right, now I need to get to E. So let me think about what I'm going to do here. I think I'll go back down, contrast from the going up, come back down. Now I'm going to do the same kind of thing that I did in this measure where I'm coming down, but then I'm going to jump back up to F so that I can resolve on E. Now, the concept of voice leading, hopefully you've all heard of the concept of voice leading, says that I should be using a half-step interval, especially at my resolution point. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, because the F to E makes a really, really nice transition, okay, into the resolution point, which is, of course, when we hit the major chord after a 2-5-1, we call that the resolution point. All right, let's keep it moving. Now we need to get to C. I think I'll do a little bit of like a thirds thing. So, I'm skipping down, stepping up, skipping down, stepping up. And that works out really nice to get from E to C. And then at the end of my line here, I'm just going to do a really simple C, D, E, C. And that's a great way to end the line because it's just a little bit of a scale figure that's going to bring me right to the end of my line. All right? So, all in all, actually a pretty good line. We're just coming right down. A little bit of chromaticism, which always works. And then the rest of the line is diatonic, but do you see how I've mixed it up a little bit, right? I've mixed it up a little bit. So I'm also going to go here and see if I can play it. So let's play it. I don't know if you'll actually be able to hear this on the audio, but I'm going to try it. Pretty nice line, actually, for a regular sort of bare bones basic line. This is actually a pretty good line. And so you could take those same chord tones, F, C, B, and F, E, and C, and you could come up with 20 different lines using that same blueprint, right? So, give it a shot. Use those same chord tones if you're just getting started. Use the ones that I've laid out for you. Try to come up with 4 or 5 lines that might give you some different things to work on. Now, eventually, when you do this enough, you start to think in this way. You start to really actually think in terms of, okay, I need to put chord tones on the strong beat. You write out the line, you're thinking about it, then you play it, you practice it, maybe put it in multiple keys, and then eventually your brain starts to actually just think that way, which is really, really nice, because then you're actually making progress and you're converting something from, okay, this is something I do where I'm sitting down and really studiously thinking about writing the line to, now I can just pull it off. All right, so I'm going to do a lot more of these using a lot more than just diatonic. We'll do stuff on more than just a 2-5-1 and kind of teach you about this. I'll do 1 episode a week. Now, I'm also going to have this PDF for sale in the description below the video. So please, if you like my videos, if you like what I'm trying to do here, go and buy the PDF. Don't just screenshot it or copy it because that's pretty lame. Support the creators of the stuff that you love. Click on the link. You can go and buy it. It's only $1.99. All right. So I'm doing one of these every week. You'll be able to get some awesome vocabulary and really work this stuff in. So we'll see you next week for episode 2 of Building a Jazz Line. Hope this was useful. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you would like to see on these. See you guys.